Right, good morning on. So moving on to Surah 77, right, and it's entitled those sent forth, right? So it's entitled those sent forth, and it's referring to who, right? Those of the unseen, right? What is referred to, as I spoke about prior, as angels, right? Those of the unseen realm, right, as well as human messengers, right? Allah's human messengers, right? So there are those who come to what? Send forth to deliver a message, or to bring some kind of criteria for good character, criteria for helping us to be comfortable to enter in, that we may feel comfortable and enter in what is called paradise or Jannah, right? So we feel comfortable in leaving this earth when we have to leave this earth, right? So that's what this chapter is basically detailing or speaking about. Is speaking about or mentioning, right? So that we may elaborate on this point that there is Allah who created the entire universe, right? And apart from Allah, right, as part of Allah and apart from Allah, right, there's angels in the unseen realm, right, operating forces, assisting us, helping us to reach wherever we need to reach, right? And there are also human messengers, right? Human messengers who come to deliver a message, right? So let's just get those things clear. So there, and if you go back to my surah, and as I was saying, if a general person in the world, right, anybody in the world, look to just go to a random surah that I've been teaching on this YouTube channel and just look at it, right, you would find something to criticize about it, or something to comment about it, because it mightn't suit what you think, or it might not reflect what you think the surah should be about. But if you look from surah 1 to, as I said, I will reach 114. If you look from 1 to 114, when I reach there, the entire picture will be encapsulated, right? So you just can't go and randomly pick a surah, right, and comment about it, or make commentary about it without actually look at, because I would have talked about the relevant verses in the Quran, right? And the Quran is by definition relevant, right? The entire book, right? But I would have brought across specific verses, right, and elaborated on certain verses and interpreted certain verses. And if you look to pick up say, go to a random surah of mine and take it, right, you will not really get the true picture of what I'm trying to say, because something I would be saying in one surah that would maybe have been elaborated on a different one more, that you may get the picture in a different one, right, if you didn't get it in one. As with the book itself, right, some things you don't get in one surah in the book itself, but in another it is elaborated upon, and you get the answer that you're looking for, right? So there are angels that bring criterion, right, and this criterion is in fact listed in nothing is outside of the Quran. The criteria is actually listed in the Quran, so nobody is special to say you bring across, this person bring across a criteria, or this person bring a particular message, right? Anybody could do these things, because all of these things is actually listed in the book, and I've also listed all these things in my videos, right? So angels who bring criterion, or angels who deliver a message, right, as justifications or warning, right? And as I said before, angels are also humans, right? Angels are also humans, as human messengers, right? So just to change the way that we look about certain things, right? So the nature of Allah's messengers or angels, right? I just want to make this point, and I hate to be talking about this in 2025 still, but it's really touching on this topic of racism, classism, all these things again, and I really want to get away from this kind of conversation, because it's been years of trying to come out of this conversation. But insofar as this occurs in the world, it is a subject that needs to be talked about, because it needs to dissipate itself, right, dissolve, right? Insofar as it is a problem, right, it needs to be addressed, right? And I really do like to be harping on this topic, especially so early in the morning in 2025, right? But we're talking about Allah's messages and the nature of Allah's messengers, and just to let the world know that this really has nothing to do with anybody's race, class, gender, anything like that, right? Male, female, your class situation, your ethnic situation, whatever it is, right? Allah can choose whom He wills, and Allah can choose whom He wills, and that's full stop. That's full stop. There's nothing more or less about that. There's nothing more or less about that, right? So and it is said that on the day of judgment, right? Allah knows the hearts of us all, so Allah will elevate some as His messengers and remove some, right? By virtue of whatever His criteria and determining who is qualified or not qualified, and that's up to Allah and Allah alone, right? Who is qualified, not qualified to deliver a message, right? So Allah alone knows our heart space, right? So this is what the emphasis on purifying our hearts, so that anybody, right, in the world, right, helping others to purify the heart, so that anybody in the world can actually come to deliver a message. So the worst thing, or the last thing that we would want, right, the last and the worst thing that we would want is to have anybody with some kind of unconscious or conscious bias in terms of how we see people, right, delivering a message from God, right? So that's what we're trying to kind of get away from, right? We're trying to get away from that, and that is why these videos are also helping us all, right, to deal with whatever unconscious biases towards others simply on the basis of how they look, right? So we're talking about not how we see people based on how their actions is towards us, you know, right? Because we might have a negative perception about somebody. Say somebody tries to kill you, right? You obviously have a negative impression about that person, right? Say somebody tried to do you something, right? Your immediate reaction is going to be, okay, well, this person or that person tried to do this to me, right? Whoever it is in the world, right? And I don't want to have nothing to do with that person, right? But if the basis of your attitude towards a person is simply on how a person looks, right? If your attitude towards somebody is simply on this person is XYZ, this person is an Indian, this person is an African, this person is a white, this person is a Chinese, this person is this class, that class, right? If our attitude towards somebody is based simply and for no reason alone on how a person looks, right, that is what we are trying to address, right? That's what we are trying to address, because Allah chooses whom He wills, full stop, right? There's nothing more or less, right? So right, so the we, addressing the we in this chapter as well, the we referring to, well, those angels of the unseen, right? The angels of the unseen, that which operates behind the scenes to create, right? To create. So the book says that we not create you from a liquid disdained and placed it in a firm lodging, meaning in the womb. So it talks about creation for a known extent, right? Have we not made the earth a container of the living and the dead, and placed therein lofty, firmly set mountains, and have given you sweet water, right? So the book is actually not denying, right? Not denying anybody, right? Not denying anybody of the unseen, not denying human messengers as well, right? So there's a beautiful thing about Islam, right? So nobody is actually, no individual is actually denied, right, in this way of life, right? Because whilst in some other religions or way of life, you are nothing, right? You are nothing, you are nobody, right? You are nothing and you are nobody. In Islam, you are actually an angel, right? You are an angel, right? So this way of life actually recognizes angelic potential in everybody, right? And that is why I actually gravitated towards this. So that's basically the message of this Christ consciousness chapter, right? This Christ consciousness chapter, right? Recognizing angelic potential in everybody, right? Krishna consciousness potential in everybody, and knowing that what we both have potential to be dark and light, and helping each other to come out of the metaphorical darkness and be better people, right? And be better people, right? So we'll pick up with Surah 78 tomorrow, God's willing. Take care, everybody.